She-Hulk has been ranked as one of the top 20 most powerful Avengers, ranking higher than Captain America and Luke Cage, yet there are still a lot of things that are unknown about the character. She shares many of the same abilities as her cousin Bruce Banner when he is in his Hulk form, but her control over her ability makes her arguably a more valuable asset than the Hulk. So sit tight because we are going to count down some things that are essential for the latest addition to the MCU. Before we continue, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell button to always be updated. Here we go. Odd supporting cast. She-Hulk has had many adventures with various superheroes in the Marvel Universe, largely due to her being on a number of teams like the Avengers, Mighty Avengers, Heroes for Hire, Defenders, Lady Liberators, A-Force, and more. However, when She-Hulk stars in her own comic series, she quite often finds herself sharing the book with an assortment of odd characters, with hero team-ups that include Howard the Duck, ridiculous villains like Dr. Bong, and co-workers like Awesome Android. Don't be rude, call him Andy. She-Hulk's own little corner of the Marvel Universe is full of Marvel zaniest. Healing and regeneration increases. This one will probably come as no surprise, but She-Hulk has a highly advanced and robust healing factor. It's not as strong as Deadpool or Wolverine, and there's no doubt that she could be killed if the circumstances were right or wrong, depending on how you look at it. But it is still significant, not to mention useful. Being a Hulk automatically gives her a decent resistance to injuries in the first place, and one injury she does take, she can heal from at a fairly rapid pace. Worthy romance. She-Hulk has had her fair share of partners during her run in the comic book world. Some people will happily joke about this, but will refrain from doing so. Jennifer has famously dated more than one named Marvel hero, but most recently she's had her eyes set on a very specific one: Thor. More accurately, we should probably say that She-Hulk is with Thor. Jennifer might be as well, but it's a bit confusing for everyone involved. It's the first relationship she's been in while her two forms were so drastically different, and as it turns out, there's a learning curve. She's Bruce Banner's cousin. Bruce Banner was exposed to radiation from a gamma bomb, which caused him to turn into the Hulk every time he loses his temper. This much is common knowledge, but many people don't realize that the gamma particles are now in every part of his body, including his blood. When his cousin Jennifer Walters was shot by a crime boss, he had to give her a blood transfusion to keep her alive. These gamma particles that flowed into Bruce's veins passed on to Jen, causing her to turn into a green giant called She-Hulk. She-Hulk may be endowed with super strength, durability, and agility like her cousin, but there are some major differences between the two. Although Bruce's transformation into the Hulk is triggered by anger, Jen can change into her alter ego and back whenever she chooses. But the gamma radiation doesn't just affect their bodies differently, it also affects their minds. Unlike her cousin, Jen preserves her intellect and personality when she changes. Bruce Banner is unable to maintain his personality during his transformation due to suffering too much trauma as a child. She has a law degree. Like her cousin, She-Hulk has two sides to her: the career Avenger and the former UCLA student Jennifer Walters. Unlike the Hulk though, she has full control while in Hulk form and has access to all the brain power she gained while earning her law degree. Thanks to this little extra upside to her abilities, it's not uncommon to see Jennifer Walters show up to court hulked out and in business dress. The confidence gained while in her green form obviously helps her while performing her duties as legal counsel, and it's definitely a show of force to the opposing counsel. This side of Jen is a huge part of the She-Hulk comics. Like with Daredevil, readers won't just be treated to some ass-kicking and the dishing out of street justice, they'll also see court appearances that rival any courtroom drama on the small screen. Both titles have also benefited from the skills of writer New York City attorney Charles Soule. She broke the fourth wall before Deadpool. For years, Deadpool has been labeled as the funniest character in all of comics. His comedy is not just derived from his zingers and innuendos, but also his acknowledgement that he is a character in a fictional story. Despite the fact that this is what the Merc with a Mouth is best known for, She-Hulk regularly monologued to the readers before Deadpool even existed. In 1989, which was 2 years before Deadpool debuted, John Byrne took over the She-Hulk series and decided to tweak the character so she had metafictional awareness quality. Using her newfound fourth wall-breaking powers, She-Hulk would criticize the Marvel artists for constantly drawing her in skimpy clothing, mock the writer's inadequate storytelling abilities, or walk through the comic panels to reach her destination faster. Probably the funniest self-referential moment in the series was when She-Hulk testified in court about her experience as a superheroine. When the prosecutor accused her of being as irrational as her gamma-powered cousin, she denied it. The prosecutor then validated her own claim by holding up an issue of Uncanny X-Men 436, where Jen slept with the supervillain Juggernaut, the fifth member of the Fantastic Four. After the events of Secret Wars in 1984, Ben Grimm stayed on Battleworld for a few months longer than the rest of the heroes, leaving the Fantastic Four with a vacancy. It was proposed that She-Hulk take his place, no doubt owing to the fact, like the Thing, she was one of the heaviest hitters around. She was introduced as a full-fledged member of Marvel's first family in 1984, with Fantastic Four number 265, with her first day shown in number 266 when she is at the hospital with Sue Storm after the latter collapsed due to pregnancy complications. However, these weren't her first appearances in a Fantastic Four comic. It was in the pages of Fantastic Four number 254 where John Byrne wrote and drew She-Hulk as a character for the first time, later going on to produce some of the most iconic stories in She-Hulk's history. She can't always control her powers. Jen Walters may not be perceived as a danger to society like her cousin, but her temper does get the better of her from time to time. When the Scarlet Witch had a mental breakdown, she indirectly used her reality-warping powers to drive She-Hulk crazy. Overwhelmed by blind rage, she tore Vision in half, killing him. Sadly, this was not a one-time occurrence. When Thanos left her comatose, she was left rattled for several months. Shortly after, she learned Bruce Banner had been murdered by Hawkeye. Worse still, Hawkeye was acquitted of all charges. Not only did this series of events cause Jen to develop PTSD, she was no longer able to willingly change into She-Hulk. Much like her cousin, she would instead turn into a simple-minded feral monster called Grey She-Hulk when she got angry. After she nearly killed someone as the Grey She-Hulk, a self-help guru encouraged Jen to take in a hallucinogen to force her to face her fears. After confronting hallucinations of Thanos, her cousin, and herself, she resolved her issues, allowing her to transform into the regular She-Hulk once more. Immune to telepathy. Like her cousin, the Hulk, She-Hulk also has telepathic resistance. This is a skill that certainly comes in handy in the Marvel Universe, as there are a high number of mutants with telepathic abilities. Professor X, Emma Frost, Jean Grey, Psylocke, Quentin Quire, the list is seemingly endless. She-Hulk's power may be due in part to her fourth wall awareness, as Deadpool is also immune to telepathy, and both characters regularly break the fourth wall. That said, it's probably safer to assume that it's due to her Hulk trait, since Banner is also resistant. However, this isn't to say that her mind cannot be altered. The effects of magic and pheromone-based manipulations have altered She-Hulk's free will in some brutal ways, ripping the Vision in half, for example, marrying John Jameson for another. So telepathic resistance doesn't actually mean that much anymore, given that She-Hulk and Hulk can be manipulated in other ways. Grey She-Hulk. Much like her cousin, She-Hulk has her own gray persona. This state, however, can be more likened to Wolverine's berserker rage. While in this gray form, she loses control of herself, has increased strength, and her speech becomes more broken, like Banner's main Green Hulk persona. Her gray form first made its appearance in Sensational She-Hulk number 15, during an adventure with Howard the Duck. When demons eyeing their next meal pounce on a human-formed Jen, her rage manifests itself as a gray She-Hulk form. In the recent Hulk number 1, Jen is the title character, and she is seen battling to keep her Grey Hulk persona in check. The re-emergence of her gray form was brought on by the smackdown she received at the hands of Thanos during the events of Civil War II, along with the stress and grief she experienced upon finding out that her cousin Bruce was killed by Hawkeye. Are you excited for She-Hulk? Be sure to share this video with your friends. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button and ring that notification bell to be notified first when a new cool video like this one comes out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.